everyone, this is Dr. Nisha Nujumudeen. In today's session, we'll be discussing three important topics. One is Gender Inequality Index. Another one is Global Gender Gap Report. And the third one is World Inequality Report. So now, the Gender Inequality Index is just like the Human Development Index released by UNDP. The remaining two topics are related current affairs of Inequality Index. And if you see, Global Gender Gap Report, it was a question that was asked in the previous year Prelims examination, not 2024, before that. It is one of the PYQs. So now, taking topics from the PYQs, this particular session has been conducted. So having said that, we'll quickly have a look into which organization published or releases such kind of index and report. After that, how it is measured. If there are some indicators, we'll quickly have a look into it and what is the status or rank of our country, India. And also globally, what is the status of all these index and report. So to begin with, what is Gender Inequality Index? Now, like Human Development Index, in order to measure inequality, the United Nations Development Program, that is UNDP, in 2010 introduced a new index called as Gender Inequality Index. But now if you see, since 1990, there were two other indexes called as Gender Development Index and Gender Empowerment Measures, focusing on female empowerment in order to measure what? The inequalities among the genders. But as time passed by, on the 20th anniversary of United Nations Development Program, it was decided to merge these two indexes called as Gender Development Index and Gender Empowerment Measure into one single index. And it is called as what? Gender Inequality Index or GII in simple term. To measure the inequalities that exist between two genders of the economy, male and female, on various perspectives. Having said that, Gender Inequality Index is taken. Having said that, Gender Inequality Index takes into consideration three variables or three aspects or indicators to measure what? To measure development. One of the most important indicator of Gender Inequality Index is reproductive health. Second one is women empowerment. And the third one is labor force participation. Now, having said that, out of the first variable or aspects or indicators of Gender Inequality Index, it is reproductive health. Reproductive health is measured in terms of maternal health and adolescent birth rate. In simple terms, mother's health, your maternal mortality rate, how many number of females are able to survive, or let's say how many mothers die during pregnancy, during childbirth, etc. So that is what the maternal health talks about. There is a ratio called as maternal mortality rate for mothers, infant mortality rate to measure how many infants or children under 1 year of age, they die per 1,000 live birth. All these concepts will be discussed in the next video. Okay. Having said that, reproductive health is measured using maternal health, that is mother's health, and adolescent birth rate. Second is what? Women empowerment. Women empowerment takes into consideration not only economic and social empowerment or perspective, rather economic, social, cultural and political perspective, which means encouraging or empowering political empowerment of female is also today's need. For example, as far as recent current affairs is concerned, 33% of reservation was given to female or women candidates in parliament, right? So this shows what? Political empowerment or political participation of females in our country, India. Under what? Under the so-called Nari Shakti program. So now, having said that, the third one is what? Labor force participation rate. In simple terms, labor force participation means what is the percentage of females in the labor force? That is how many women are already working or employed. At the same time, how many females are willing to work, who is looking for work or is available for work. All these comes under what? The labor force participation. So now based on these three indicators only, gender inequality index is measured. So now having said that, what is the rank or the status of our country India in the so-called gender inequality index? As per 2024 data, out of 193 countries, India ranks 108 in what? In gender inequality index, which means that still lot more has to be done by a country India in reducing the disparities or the gap or the inequalities between both the genders, male and female, in the economy. I hope it is very clear. Having said that, which countries you think would do great in gender inequality index? If you see Iceland, Iceland is one such country which topped the list, I would say. They are the country with the lowest inequality, which means more than 90%. In Iceland, you can see gender equality. That is the only country to showcase such kind of equality status among the genders. Now, having said that, the next topic is Global Gender Gap Report. As I told you, it is a previous year question for the prelims also. Now, having said that, who releases Global Gender Gap Report? It is not an index, it is a report. It is not done by UNDP. Rather, a not-for-profit organization or a non-governmental organization called as World Economic Forum. So, World Economic Forum is what? It is an international organization. It is a not-for-profit organization or a non-governmental organization which focuses on public-private cooperation. Basically, this particular forum, World Economic Forum, it releases all the data or reports based on important economic and social aspects concerning the globe or the world. So now, Global Gender Gap Report. It is published by whom? World Economic Forum. So now, according to World Economic Forum, they said that there is a huge gender disparities that is visible in our country, India. So now, as per the latest data, it is said that India is one of the most unequal among all the nations, which means inequality is high in our country India, especially in the context of gender perspective as well. Having said that, if you see, in 2021-22, out of 156 countries, Global Gender Gap Report of India was, the rank of India was 140. In 2022, what happened? 10 countries reduced. There was 156 countries. It became 146 countries. Okay? Because the number of countries reduced, India's rank also came down. Out of 146 countries, India's rank was 135. In which year? 2022. Then again, in 2023, what happened? Out of 146 countries, India's rank reduced from 135 to 127, which is indeed a good thing. Slowly and gradually, some sort of improvement is seen. And as for the latest 2024 data, from 127, India's rank must become what? 125 or 124 at least. But unfortunately, India slipped 2 points ahead, which means that from 127 in the year 2023, in 2024, Global Gender Gap Report of India is 129 out of 146 countries, which means that India's inequality again widened or increased in the context of what? In the context of gender perspective. So these are the data which you should know. And now globally, as I told you again, the Scandinavian or the Nordic countries, they rank the best for all this equality perspective. So Iceland is again a country which ranks number 1 with lowest global gender gap, which means inequality is very, very, very less there. So this is what you should know with regard to Global Gender Gap Report. Having said that, let us quickly have a look into what is the status of India compared to its neighboring countries, China, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Myanmar, etc. to your surprise, I would say that the neighboring countries perform much, much better, including Pakistan, I'm telling you, compared to what? Compared to India. India is having, or India is showcasing more of inequalities. That is why it is said that India is one of the most unequal among all nations. This statement can be used for the mains answer writing as well. It is a UPSC keyword. Is it clear? So having said that, the next topic is global. Okay, we have done with global gender gap report. The next is World Inequality Report. So the next topic is World Inequality Report. It is also an associated topic of discussion. So now the World Inequality Report was published annually every year, like the Global Gender Gap Report that is published annually. World Inequality Report is also published what? Yearly or annually. And this is done by World Inequality Lab. So now, according to them, how do they measure inequality is not based on just income inequality. World Inequality Report focuses on measuring inequality by understanding what is the continuous or the persistent gap between the rich and the poor population. We all know that as far as a country India is concerned, rich is becoming more and more rich, poor is becoming more and more poor. So to understand what is the gap between rich and poor, we have what? World Inequality Report. At the same time, this report also focuses on enduring caste-based inequalities. If you see in our country India, the caste-based inequality is also huge. How many people belong to the upper caste? How many people belong to the lower caste? How many are vulnerable? So based on that also, even today, though we are secular, though we are democratic also, such kind of inequalities persist. I know it is a harsh truth, but you have to accept it. No other choice. This word, I know, using the word caste-based, some people will say, do we really have this inequality? Yes, it is very evident. We do have such kind of inequalities in our country, India today. So, based on these two parameters, World Inequality Lab, they releases what? World Inequality Report. In that, it was found that, again, India is one of the most unequal among all nations because inequality is found to be high in India. And now, having said that, this World Inequality Report, according to this particular report, it was also showing that they did a survey. In that, it showed that top 1% of population, that is top 1% of rich population has access to 40.1% of wealth, which means that majority of people who are in the poor category do not have access to much resources. Majority of the resources or wealth is consumed by the 1% of top or rich population. This is a very serious topic of discussion and a serious topic of consideration as a whole. And this shows that inequality is widening, right? So this is the highlight of this particular report. So I hope it is very clear for all of you. And in the Global Gender Gap Report, the UPSC previous year question was, who releases this particular report? And we all know that the answer is World Economic Forum. Another important point which I would like to tell you students is that in such kind of questions, report indexes, sometimes UPSC confuses you people by asking that, for example, Gender Inequality Index is published annually or biannually or biennially. So now annually means what? Annually means every year. Biannually means once in 2 years. Okay. And biennially means in 1 year 2 times. For example, in the month of June, one report is released. In the month of December of the same 2024 year, another report is released. In 1 year, 2 times you release. To confuse you, the words like annually, biannually, biennially, UPSC will ask. So you have to be smart in understanding it. Is it clear? So you can just make a note of this. All these reports, whatever I told you, is published or released yearly, which is annually. So I hope it is very clear for all of you. So stay tuned for more such videos and don't forget to put forward your valuable feedbacks in the comment box. Thank you and Jai Hind.